Welcome to Firearms of America. Today, as you guys can see, I have another Merrell boot or shoes for a review. Haven't had those in a while, so I am excited. These are Merrell Moab Edge 2 hiking shoes or trail running shoes, depending what kind of stuff you are into. And let me tell you guys, overall, fairly decent hiking shoe. I do have a few complaints here and there. If you want to find them out, make sure to stick around. But overall, not too bad. Currently $95 on Amazon. The link is in the description below. Check it out. Sometimes the prices do go down. Overall, pretty good comfort level, pretty decent outsole, and they do run true to the size. So, if you have time to watch the whole review, let's start. As some of you, because you have been subscribed, already know this review is specifically for my ultimate survival boots section. And I know this is not a boot, this is the hiking shoe, but imagine that you were out on the hike and something bad happened, right? Some kind of situation where you needed to leave the place and run, maybe climb, fight, do whatever is necessary for your survival, and you were wearing these hiking shoes from Merrell. Would they be good? Would they contribute to your survival? How to make the judgment? We'll make the judgment based on 8 different criteria. Let's start. Criteria number 1, of course, comfort level, one of the more important ones. And in order to do the test, I do it for all of the shoes, all of the boots that I review on this channel. I do a 3-mile run and then a 5-mile hike. No stopping. Is no pauses in between, nothing. I do it through a variety of different surfaces to test the comfort, to test the outsole traction and stability and stuff like that. Just to have that kind of similar baseline for all of the shoes that I review on and boots that I review on this channel. And like I said, these are very comfortable overall. There are a few factors that contribute and take away from the comfort level. Let's start from the very first one, the weight. And this is, by the way, size 10 to kind of give you a reference. Let's see exactly how heavy these are. 14.7. Now, overall, this is a good weight, right, for your hiking needs. Usually I say that if you want something that feels lightweight, that you can walk, run for extended periods of time, you want something under 20 ounce. And this is definitely well under 20 ounce, pretty good. However, in my personal opinion, I think it is a little bit too much for a shoe, for a hiking shoe. Now, with a good mid-size, sometimes even full-size hiking boot, you can get them in around that weight. For a hiking shoe, I expected a little bit less than that. Usually, whenever it comes to hiking shoes, trail running shoes, I'm looking at around 11, 12, right? This is a little bit over it, and you definitely do feel it. You do feel it. It doesn't feel, it feels overall pretty good, but you do feel that weight, that kind of almost unnecessary weight, because you're like, hey, I'm only wearing hiking shoes. These are not full-size boots. I don't get all the benefits of the protection that you get in a full-size or a mid-size boot. You don't get them here because this is a shoe, but you still get the weight. Where is it coming from? Well, most of it comes from the massive outsole, which we will talk about later. But that kind of a little bit takes away from the comfort because it is on the heavier side for a shoe. Now, for a boot, it would be amazing weight, but for a shoe, it's a little bit heavier. Let's move on to the next factor. It's the inner sole. Now, let me take it out so you can kind of have an idea. Now, as you can see, this one has a very almost, I would say, aggressive arch support. So for people like myself that are a little bit on the flatter side, feet not exactly like flat, but on the flatter side, this might be a little bit uncomfortable. It definitely was for me. After some time, I started feeling the fatigue in this area of my foot because this is a little bit too much of an arch for me. Now, whenever you remove the inner sole, you don't really have anything else, so it goes straight into that very hard rubber. I kind of wish that there was a little bit more, because the inner sole is actually not very it's not very cushiony. All right, there isn't really a lot of stuff going in there. Now, it's nicely shaped if your foot fits for that shape. But there isn't still not a lot of cushioning that you kind of expect in a hiking shoe. You do have some padding on the tongue, a little bit of padding throughout the boot, of course, here in the ankle area and on the inside. Now, one really huge benefit in these hiking shoes is that Merrell, they implemented padding on the inside of the toe box, which I do like a lot. Not a lot of it, just a little bit, but still it is very helpful, and I wish everyone, every brand out there did that, because it definitely adds to the comfort level overall. And of course, another factor that I wanted to mention here besides everything else is the flexibility of the bottom sole. And as you can see, even though the bottom sole is massive, it is actually very flexible, so you can definitely run properly in these hiking shoes without any problems. And walking, of course, whenever you have a flexible outsole, walking is much easier. So overall, pretty good, but I think it could have been better if it was a little bit lighter and if the inner sole just had a little bit more impact protection on the inside. Alrighty, let's move on to the criteria number 2, proofing and protection. Now, proofing wise, there isn't really much going on here. Now, even though the tongue is gusseted, these are not waterproof. You also don't really get a lot of protection, obviously, because this is not a boot. There is no ankle protection here at all. The toe is very soft. Now, there's a little bit of design going that adds a little bit firmness, but practically useless, because if something drops on top of your foot, you will definitely feel it. The heel has a little bit of reinforcement, and of course your massive outsole gives you decent amount protection from the bottom. Let's move on to the criteria number 3 now, quality and the design features. Now, quality wise, Merrell is a great brand. They know what they're doing whenever it comes to hiking boots, hiking shoes. They have been out there for a while, and in fact, if you check out, the link is in the description below for Amazon, there are over 1,000 reviews on these shoes on Amazon and almost 5 stars. So people definitely do like these shoes a lot. All right, and usually I do look at the Amazon reviews. They're very helpful a lot of times to sometimes look for things that I wouldn't even think about looking. All right, now the design features, usually here I talk about the lacing system. Here the lacing system is fairly basic, nothing much going on. This is one of my other kind of minor complaints in this hiking shoe, is the lacing system is not very, just doesn't feel very good. The strings do not slide very good through these fabric hooks. They just don't, and it's not very proportional. It's not very easy to tighten these shoes, so keep that in mind. You do have 4 pairs of fabric hooks, closed hooks, and you do have 1 pair of regular holes, kind of with this metal caps in them. No open hooks. So yeah, we don't really need them here, but just keep that in mind. And the strings are kind of nice and thick. I mean, the strings are good, the lace itself, but the whole fabric hooks, I think they're just not doing a very good job overall. Alrighty, let's move on to the criteria number 4 now, outsole traction and stability. Now, in order to test the outsole traction and stability, what I do is whenever I do my run and my walk, I do them on a variety of different surfaces. I start with older asphalt, going to newer tarmac, some sand, dry sand, wet sand, dry grass, wet grass, rocky road, some trail surface, and then finishing up on some marble and tile. And overall, this is a very good outsole. More on the flatter side. As you can see, there isn't really that much of aggression. I think personally there's a little bit too much stuff going on with this outsole. It looks really cool, but practicality wise, this is just way too much stuff, and I think most of it is kind of unnecessary. Now, don't get me wrong, a lot of these things, they do have their purpose. Like, for example, these kind of thin grooves here and here, they give you very good stability on flat shiny surfaces like marble and tile. Very good, almost kind of slip resistant, even though these are not advertised as slip resistant. Overall, the flatness of the outsole gives you pretty good traction and stability on sand, wet sand, dry sand. They are a little bit slippery on the wet grass because there isn't much of aggression that is needed for the wet grass, but overall not too bad. I do like especially these grooves right here, because this is kind of that extra. If you're climbing a rope or climbing a tree, these grooves definitely do help. So overall, pretty decent outsole, but I think if there was a little bit more aggression, I think it would have been better. Let's move on to the criteria number 5 really quickly now. Temperature. No point here to talk about cold, because these are just shoes. They're not waterproof and not insulated in any way, so they're not designed for cold temperatures. But testing them here in Florida, almost 90 degrees weather running, they're very nice and breathable overall, very light. And I didn't mention in the inner sole, it has those antibacterial qualities to kind of keep your feet fresh. So pretty good overall. Let's move on to the criteria number 6 really quickly, the sizing. Usually I recommend here to get half a size bigger if you are buying hiking shoes, trail running shoes, or boots, really any kind of boots, work boots, tactical boots, hiking boots, whatever. I recommend getting half size bigger because it gives you a little bit of that extra space in the toe box, and that definitely helps you on your hikes, on your long days at work. It prevents you from unnecessary fatigue on your toe. Keep that in mind. Just a good advice that I got from one of my friends who does hiking pretty much full time. Alright, so like I said in the beginning, these are true to the size, so pretty good. Let's move on to the criteria number 7 now, balance of application. So if this really were your ultimate survival shoes, right, because these are not boots, you were wearing them on the hike, something bad happened, or something bad happened while you were at home and you had an option to put them on and leave the house, would these be good for your survival? I think these are pretty decent. As a hiking shoe, I think these do have some pretty good qualities about them. Merrell, first of all, is a great brand. Overall, the comfort level is pretty decent, especially if your foot fits this sort of aggressive arch support. The outsole is pretty good. The comfort level overall, like I said, I do like the padding. They feel very soft from the inside, and that oftentimes I have the problem with, because some brands, they just for some reason don't do it. Merrell did it here, and I really appreciate it. So overall, pretty good. Here's the thing now. I think it gets better whenever we get to the criteria number 8, the price, because like I said, the price is currently $95 on Amazon. The link is in the description below. I think it is a pretty competitive price considering this is Merrell, a very popular brand with a lot of good reviews about these shoes, so you know they're gonna last you, all right, and they're gonna be good for you as long as you fit with this aggressive arch support. I think there is some decent competition out there in that price range from manufacturers like Columbia and more serious Salomon, a little bit on the pricier side. But like I said, I think at the end of the day, it all comes down to whether these will fit you or not, because if they do, you're gonna love them. If they don't, then you probably should be looking around a little bit more. But I think $95 is a great price for everything these shoes do offer. So let me know in the comments below, guys. What do you think about these Merrell hiking shoes? Would you consider them as your main hiking shoes? Would you consider them as your ultimate survival shoes? Let me know in the comments below. If you have any requests for reviews, you can also drop them in the comments below. I always look out for those. Add them to my to-do list. If I come across something fast, before something, I do that as the priority. So thank you very much, guys, for watching. This was Firearms of America. I'll see you guys in the next video.